Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. Alright, so we are looking at the assault on the control room intro cinematic cutscene. Truth be told, this needed its own video entirely because this is one of the worst things I have ever seen in AAA gaming history. I'm not being hyperbolic. I don't know how they managed to take a 30-second cutscene and make it feel like a whole 5 minutes. It's genuinely that bad, okay? I'm not sure what the development budget for this game was, and I was very curious to find out, and this game is in the hundreds of millions, okay? And keep in mind that this is a AAA project, okay? What should have been a flagship title is now not, because we have incompetent people working on the game. Remember that, okay? Make sure you remember that. Okay, that's a core problem with this development team, is that they are largely incompetent. Okay, I've highlighted that many times throughout my videos. They do not have the talent to be working on this franchise. Okay, their direction, their whole philosophies, it's all over the place and they don't know what they're doing. And this cutscene actually is a microcosm of Halo Studios as a whole, because judging from what I've seen, what we're about to go into and analyze this one cutscene here, it's genuinely shockingly bad. Okay. Like I'm lost for words when I first saw it, but there's a lot of discourse on Twitter about this subject and a rather lengthy tweet from a developer. I'm not going to name names. I haven't actually gone and found out who said this, but they deserved some real credit for the critique I've seen over this cinematic, because it's iconically bad. Okay, let's just put it that way. Okay, so I'm going to let this play out in its entirety and we're going to break this down scene by scene.
Ah, hell.
So that was the cutscene, guys, and I wish I could just call it bad and just end it there, but this needs some serious surgery, this scene, because it's genuinely terrible. Okay, from every single angle you look at this scene. I've looked at it multiple times now and I'm just disgusted every single time, increasingly. What is that? Can someone tell me? You're telling me $200 million the studio had and that's the output? That's fucking crazy. And you see a lot of cope online as well. People are saying, okay, they're fine with it. And I'm like, are you genuinely that retarded? Because it would seem so. I mean, there's no way a professional would look at this scene and say, okay, that's AAA quality right there. This is more in line with indie dev. Not even that. This is high school retard shit. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's very novice and it's just not complete. And I think it's important that we compare this to the original cutscene, because you can see right off the bat that there is a massive difference in the overall presentation.
Roger that. We'll be able to find our way to the control center from here. Good luck. Foehammer out.
Okay, so comparing what we've seen in the Campaign Evolved remake compared to the classic Combat Evolved cutscene, you'll notice the differences almost immediately. Okay, within the first 2 seconds of watching this, the differences are immediate. I'm going to look at this from a cinematic perspective because it is possibly one of Bungie's most underrated cutscenes in the game. Despite the limitations of 2001's hardware, the sequence still possesses a sense of scale and atmosphere that many modern games struggle to replicate. Okay, and we're seeing that in real time right now. Like I said, this remake is a microcosm of gaming as a whole and Halo Studios. Now again, we look at this cutscene, I want to talk about the camera composition and the angles used here, because the shot we've captured at this first sequence here, this is a high angle, almost godlike perspective looking down into the immense central shaft of the environment here. And instead of focusing tightly on those central characters, the grunts in this case, Bungie deliberately made those characters look really tiny within that frame. Okay, and what this does is it achieves several things. This immediately emphasizes the sheer scale and size of the Forerunner architecture. Okay, it creates that feeling of mystery and insignificance. Okay, you are just one small being in this gigantic ancient Forerunner world, and we don't know what the fuck's going on. It visually communicates that the player is entering something ancient and beyond human understanding. Look at the architecture at the base. Okay, that's magnetic architecture. You've got these spinning elements rotating around the central shaft, and above that is connected to a dome, basically encompassing the ceiling. The composition of this shot is almost architectural. When you're looking at it, you're looking mostly at the environment. Those circular rings around the beam naturally guide the viewer's eye towards the center, and that's creating that strong focal point. And again, those tiny figures on the platform serve as a scale reference here. Okay, they're making the environment feel truly colossal here. Again, this invokes a feeling of mystery. Who built this place? How was it so damn big? What are the materials here? Okay, and then again, the lighting on this particular scene here, it's not very dark. You can see pretty much into the abyss below. Okay, and that's further leading into more questions, because you can see just the sheer scale of the environment, just how deep this network of tunnels goes. And again, when you're looking at a pelican which has flown through this environment and is surfacing upwards, and again, that atmosphere is immediately recognizable. Okay, you're hearing that almost like a howling, a deep howling within that ambience. And the ambience on this particular scene here is really significant, because again, Bungie instead embraces that silence and that negative space, and you get the feeling just with that echoing sound effect that you are within this massive tunnel network system, like an enormous void. And that feeds into the idea of isolation, tension, and reverence. What Bungie do here is they zoom down into the Grunt as he's patrolling, and he's just doing that awkward sniff into the air, like doing that grunt shit, sniffing into the air. And he gets startled by that huge big ass pelican that comes out of the tunnel, and you can see the character's visually shaking, and he jumps off and runs away along with the other group of sleeping grunts. All in all, the cutscene is actually about 20 seconds when you look at it, because it jumps immediately into the chief's perspective. And then again, as you're flying into the drop zone, you see all of those grunts scurrying into the Forerunner doorway, and then from there, that's when combat begins. And again, the environment, the scene here is all very minimalistic. Lighting here is very primitive by today's standards, yet it's artistically very effective. Okay, the scene uses a lot of cool blues and grays, soft white illumination around circular structures, and deep shadows inside or beneath or surrounding the shaft area. There's no flashy colors here competing for attention. That restraint in palette reinforces the sterile, mysterious identity of the Forerunners. Again, it's just reinforcing the fact that Halo Studios just don't understand Halo's materials. Okay, because by comparison, you compare the scenes, and everything just looks like shiny metal, and it's reflecting the light, and it just looks terrible. And you look at the shaft itself, light sources themselves appear to be integrated into the architecture, making the entire structure feel functional and believable rather than decorated. And again, I just need to hammer in, the ambience and the mood here is perhaps the strongest element in the atmosphere. Okay, there's very little music during parts of the sequence. Instead, the player hears echoing environmental sound effects. You got this humming machinery. Again, the emptiness of the chamber is the atmosphere, and this creates a feeling of somewhere between that science fictional temple type environment, archaeological discovery, and forbidden place humanity was never really meant to enter. That's the kind of atmosphere, the feeling I get from Bungie's classic. And again, the atmosphere foreshadows the revelation that follows regarding Halo's true purpose. It all ties in neatly to the theme Halo was built around. And now I want to basically break down Halo Studios' version of this one cutscene here, because it's just fucked.
Hell.
Okay, so immediately we start off with a tight shot behind the central shaft, looking straight towards the doorway where you get to see the grunts, and then immediately we are thrown behind the grunts with a wide shot of the Forerunner doorway being open, and we see 4 grunts here, and I don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's very strange because this character can speak English, and that's a weird decision in and of itself. You look at the elites, Bungie made some effort there to make the character unique and have its own dialect, and that's what made the elites a very interesting character. Now for the grunts in particular, I'm not going to question the designer's intent with this character speaking English. That was how the character was at the beginnings, and Halo Studios know this, and they've chosen here to basically throw us in a scene with grunts doing things as close to what seems like sign language, and the scene just feels really disconnected in the animation department. I'm not sure what the grunts are doing. This is where I wanted to go into a tweet here by a cinematic developer within the gaming industry, because they just go on to tear this apart. Okay, it's quite embarrassing actually. It says, "It's hard to believe that this cinematic for one of gaming's most iconic levels is what Halo Studios is shipping. But it appears to be. From the original 18-second cinematic, which had a great establishing shot showing the scale of the area, reinforcing the ring's grand architecture, sleeping grunts foreshadowing upcoming ambush gameplay, you're making a game, remember? A quick gag of the grunts running scared. Now we have a bloated 30-second cinematic of a more constrained, established shot, doorway framing, a cinematic language of its own, not appropriate for a scene like this. Grunts awkwardly arguing, standing around, flailing their arms. What are they even doing? Why are we even watching them do this for so long?" A stupid compression effect shot on the grunt, so clearly made by someone just itching to make a shot like this, inappropriate for Halo, an enemy, and for a character who you can't even see the face of. The cherry on top is the fully disconnected lighting between the cinematic and the gameplay space as the cinematic ends. Stuff like this needs to be rightfully criticized, and all the more for remakes, which should have none of the confusion and cross-department bickering as new games might. You're remaking a game, you know the space, you know the story, you should know the intent. Yeah, I mean, that developer, whoever that is, they deserve full credit for that based critique right there, because it's genuinely, this is terrible. And if you can't see the difference in cinematography, in lighting, in animation, in particular animation, because the animation sucks in this remake. Okay, I don't know who remade this, but my god, it's the worst thing I've seen in AAA gaming history. And you see like these cope comments online. People are like, "Oh, this is pre whatever the fuck, and it ships within a month. They still have time to..." You have to be stupid, okay? This releases in a month. They are not going to change shit, okay? Halo Infinite, that game needed a fucking year, and they didn't really change much. So what you see here is what you get, and these renderings are really expensive. You look at Blur Studios and how much they charge to shit out those cinematics. Yeah, they're not going to fucking change this, okay? This is the game, it's baked, and it's not going nowhere.
Ah, hell.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the hell the grunts are doing in this scene. You see them just doing some really awkward shit, and then you have one of the grunts speak and walk off as if he just lost a debate and he just looks really defeated, and you've got the two other grunts just looking onwards. The environment itself is very dark, and again you've got the reflective materials within the environment. Again, we really went into detail with this in the last video. I won't be going into too much depth with that here, but you can see it really interfering with the scene, okay? And I just hate it. It just looks fucking ugly, and again, the grunts have that same problem, along with the weaponry, and just texturing in this game is just all off. It's completely wrong, and they do not understand the environment. Okay, so the grunt looks back, and he's not even in full view of the other grunt behind him, the red one, which is telling him to fuck off basically, and he just looks really defeated, and he's moving along. And why are we seeing any of this? I don't understand. Like, what is the need to see this waste of time? Okay, so we get to see the pelican surfacing again. You compare this to the classic, and that sense of scale, that atmosphere is completely missing here. You have this really stupid vignette and the overall darkness in the environment. I mean, the environment's already fucking dark. We can barely see shit. And the vignette is making the environment feel a lot smaller and tighter and claustrophobic compared to the original, and there's just no sense of scale and atmosphere in this environment. It's just unnecessary, okay? And then the other thing I need to touch on is the animation, because that was disgusting, okay? You're talking about a $200 million budget, and that is the quality that you could output. That's pathetic. Again, it's who's making this game. Did Unishek make these cutscenes? Because what the fuck? Like, how do you animate something that bad? The way the grunts just look really stiff, and they're just flailing their arms about. There's no real emotion in the scene. It just feels really robotic, really unfinished and unpolished. And you compare that to the classic, once again, the animations were really believable. Again, the cutscene was an in-game cinematic. I spoke about this before. When you make in-game cutscenes, you have leeway to just be as authentic with the scene as possible. The characters just feel really natural when the cutscene is in-game. When you're trying to make these high-resolution, really detailed cinematics where everything needs to be fucking 4K textures and shit, you end up with situations like this where you fucked up the animations and you can't go back and fix it because it's baked. That's now an MP4 static image, and it's a really expensive one, so you're screwed. Okay, so this shot right here where we get to see the grunt up close, I don't know why we needed to see this again, and they've done this really stupid compression shot where the environment starts to zoom out and you're zooming into the grunt's face. Are we making an anime here? Is this a cartoon? Again, it's reflective of the people making the game and their mentality. How did you think that this was an acceptable scene to release? It just makes Halo and its characters and its world feel really stupid, and this is how Halo Studios design their characters. They make them really generic, really stupid and cartoony. It feeds into the perception that the games that they make are made for children. Halo used to be an M-rated game. Okay, you need to remember that. What is the rating for this game? Is it teen again, like Halo Infinite? Because when you get a teen-rated game, you don't really get something that appeals to the older demographic. You just get silly shit like this. It's just a consistent theme with Halo Studios. They like to make silly, dumb shit and stupid cartoony characters. They all sound dumb and moronic. It's like, that's one aspect of Halo Studios games that I just fucking hate. Goodness, man. We get to see Foehammer, and she does this heads up to the Grunt as she's parking Chief into the environment, and you see the Grunt just running off. Now this is just awkward millennial modern AAA slop. You just get that feeling right off the bat. And just looking at the textures once again, just in that final shot right there in this pre-release build, it's just disgusting. It's like everything's just metal, shiny ass shit, and it's gross. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I shall see you in the next one.